First of all, I'd like to welcome everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for attending the RemitONE Webinar, How Money Service Businesses Can Maintain Growth During a Global Pandemic. I'm Musab, the Associate Sales Director at RemitONE, and we'll be hosting today's event. We have an hour for today's webinar. We'll give you a quick intro about RemitONE, provide our latest transaction trends, and high-level overview of the state of the market. We will then move on to a series of interviews with RemitONE clients about how they have maintained business growth during the past 12 months. Today we'll be speaking with Eversend, Bank Asia, JMMB, and Nation Transfer. We will then try to leave 10 minutes at the end for any questions from the audience. First of all, who is RemitONE? What do we do? To answer that question, there is really two parts to our service, the consultancy side and then the system side. So in the first instance, RemitONE have specialist consultants, some of whom are ex-FCA case managers. So again, we know the processes very well from the inside out. And we help clients with their licensing, whether that be SPI license, API license, whether they be startups, or others that want to expand into the UK market. Quite recently, we've helped lots of companies from the US and the UAE gain licenses in the UK and from Africa, gain licenses in the UK. We also help with bank account solution providing, and those because of de-risking is quite difficult at present to do that. So that's really the consulting side or aspect of our services. So mainly licensing, Eurocentric at the moment. And then the second part, which is our system. And in terms of our system, again, RemitONE have been operational now for the last 18 years now. Again, servicing pretty much every country on every continent on the planet. Our system is quite widely used, and this is in line with the regulatory requirements of those countries as well. And what we provide in terms of software itself, again, over the past 18 years, we've developed, again, front ends, whether that be your typical agent-based model, or helping those clients to expand from agent-based to online or mobile phone app, which we also white label and provide to our clients. To right to the back end, which is again, as mentioned, the compliance manager, the award-winning compliance manager, and again, the sanctions list checker, your typical admin tasks in there. Accounts and things like that. And then following on, obviously, we have the integrations with our partners covering 120 countries, also helping our clients either expand to other countries or then be able to offer different types of transfers, maybe moving on from your typical bank transfer and cash collection onto mobile transfer and mobile wallets and things like that. So we can really help clients expand, whether that be the types of services that they can offer their clients or the types of corridors they would like to offer their clients. And again, how they reach out to their clients, whether that be expanding onto mobile phone apps and wallets and things like that. And our clients range, again, right the way from state banks like UBA and some of our partners here have joined us today, to startups, to again, remittance companies like Travelex. So in a nutshell, that is pretty much what RemitONE do and RemitONE provide. Now, the theme of this webinar is how to maintain business growth during a global pandemic. Before we dive into the questions out with our panelists, I want to set the scene with you and share a high-level overview of the state of the market and some of our data. I'm just going to pop my camera off so you can concentrate on some of the figures that you see in front of you there. So COVID-19 has fundamentally changed a lot this year. In the case of the money transfer industry, the immediate impact has not been a positive one. World Bank has predicted that global remittance are set to decline by 20% as a direct result of the pandemic. Digital transformation has been slowly changing the remittance sector for decades now, and COVID-19 has hastened that transformation. The way we see it, where digital was once an option, it's now a necessity. And that has completely changed the game for all banking sectors. RemitONE transactional trends. According to recent RemitONE transaction data, there has been a major acceleration of digital channel use during the pandemic. The use of physical agents, meanwhile, is down, which might seem insignificant, but points to a drastic overall shift in the consumer habit. This is the state of play and what we see and how we see it. But now let's hear directly from some of our clients from different geographical locations for their perspectives. I would like to welcome our first guest, Livingston Atwine, founder and director of Eversend. Pleasure to have you. Thank you for your time today. How are you, Stone?
I'm good. Thank you, Osama. Can you hear me properly?
I can hear you loud and clear. Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Stone, can you explain a bit about Eversend's story? Where are your customers based and what kind of corridors you service?
Yeah, it's a long story. Maybe I'll just break it down by saying we focus on providing mainly cross-border money transfers to to migrants. So basically we focus on African migrants anywhere they are in the world, with a massive initial focus on cross-border money transfers within Africa. And the reason that we focus on Africa as a market is because we realized that pretty much everybody was focusing on moving money from the West, so from Europe and North America into Africa. And nobody had a focus on moving money between Nairobi and Accra, Lagos and Kigali. And we decided that this was an important area to focus on, and the numbers actually also support the thing, because we dug into some numbers and realized that almost 43% of the money that's received in Africa as cross-border money transfers is still coming from other African countries. You have 70% of people moving out of their countries to live in another country from Africa, going to other African countries. So that's why we are focused on that. We also offer other financial services on top of the cross-border money transfers. But pretty much in every market that we go to, the main focus is on cross-border money transfers initially. So right now we are serving Kenya, Uganda, Ghana, Nigeria, Rwanda, and Tanzania coming soon.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Livingston. I mean, that's a great story in servicing the intra-Africa region. That's brilliant, fantastic. Eversend have been a client for RemitONE for over 2 years. We're actually quite delighted to witness your rapid expansion during that time. It hasn't really again, pandemic hasn't had a massive, just looking at the numbers on the figures you've been doing. Can you sort of disclose what is and has been the main provider of growth for your company?
I think looking at new markets always helps. I think when we, for example, started working in Nigeria, we saw almost a doubling of our transaction volumes just within the next month. We've also seen the effect of COVID. So COVID was negatively affected us in terms of transactions in the months of March, April, and May. And I think in June we saw a bounce back. Actually, in May and June and ongoing, we've seen a bounce back of lots of people who have been traditionally using brick and mortar money transfer operators who are going online right now. So we see a lot of demand, the lockdowns and the fact that people inside their houses. So the fact that you can, send money from the comfort of your living room or wherever you are is an added advantage for us. So we've seen a huge push during COVID, although we had a massive dip in some of the initial months of COVID. And we think that at the end of the day, what we will see is an accelerated adoption of online money transfer because it's basically becoming the norm. So we always knew that it was going to become, it was always going to build up, but what has happened and what we've realized is that there's an acceleration right now, and people tend to do a lot more digital money transfers.
Fantastic, thank you for that. And Stone, is there anything specific that Eversend are doing to sort of counterbalance that the effect of COVID? Is there anything that you, any strategies that you have in place or anything like that?
Yeah, I think one of the things we did as a company, so from scratch, how we built Eversend was, so we have Eversend, the app that everybody knows that's plugged into, you know, RemitONE. And what we like about RemitONE is that we didn't have to build out, you know, other compliance things and ledgers and stuff like that, but we've pretty much built our own infrastructure on top of that. And the interesting thing is our implementation is very unique. So we also have a separate API-based platform, which basically does payments for us. And what we've seen, what we did to kind of counterbalance all the problems and grow a lot faster was to make available those payment rails for other financial technology companies and other money transfer companies, so that they're able to plug in. So instead of, you know, the capacity we have as Eversend to reach, let's say, 100,000 people, we have partners who are money transfer companies who are using our rails that we built to make payouts. That pretty much helps us in terms of volumes, you know, 3x, 4x, 5x in some cases, in some months, just by availing our infrastructure as well to other players. And this is already implemented within the RemitONE platform as well. So if there's any RemitONE customers out there that are interested in looking at the corridors of Ghana, Nigeria, Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, basically English-speaking Africa, and wherever increasing, we're happy to chat.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So it sounds like you're working as an aggregator now. So you're working as an aggregator for these other companies that want to use your rails, the infrastructure that you've already built. And as you've just mentioned, it's connected to the RemitONE core system. Very easy for any other RemitONE system user to then plug into that and start using those rails as well. So again, if anyone would like further discussions, please feel free to reach out to myself or Natalie, and Natalie Perkins, our marketing manager, and we will certainly facilitate that introduction to Livingstone. Just finally, Livingstone, what do you think is the future of cross-border remittances? I mean, you've answered that a little bit. It's definitely going more towards the technology side. But what are your plans for the future in specific?
Yeah, on top of seeing the trend where everything is going digital, so people are definitely going to be, you know, using mobile apps. We also see a trend where some of these services could be plugged into other existing players. So remittance as a service, like, I mean, what you guys offer, or even what we offer, we see an opportunity where some companies that may not be traditionally money transfer companies going into the game, as long as they can deal with all the regulatory side of things. So we think a lot more players are going to be offering financial services, not just cross-border, but tons of services. That's one of the way we look at things. This is not going to be, you know, something that is restricted to traditional money transfer companies. The other thing that we see is the usage and the reliance on blockchain and cryptocurrencies, to be more specific. So in some areas of Africa where we have a challenge, you know, moving float around, moving money around, so that we have money in all the different markets that we play in, been forced in some cases, to move money around using digital currencies, Bitcoin, USDC, and some of these stable currencies. So we think that's going to be a way, something that is going to be massively adopted, and it simplifies a lot of things. People always talk about, but Bitcoin or some of these cryptocurrencies are unstable. What we see is the massive adoption of stable coins, so coins that are actually backed up by fiat, by reserves in bank accounts. So we think, we definitely think that's going to be the future of moving money around. So cryptocurrencies, yes, and a lot of players who are not traditional money transfer companies coming into the game as well.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. Very interesting points then. And Stone, as always, pleasure speaking to you. And thank you so much for your insight. We greatly appreciate your time attending and your input. It's been very informative. I'm just going to sort of moving on now. We're delighted to welcome our next guest, Azad Kamrul. He is the CEO of Bank Asia, BA Exchange. It's a pleasure to have you with us here today. Azad, how are you? So Azad, I believe you're probably on mute. Hopefully you can hear me. Azad, are you still there? Hello, Azad.
Hi. Hi.
Hi, Azad. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. Thank you really for inviting me here today.
Fantastic. It's an absolute pleasure having you today. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Azad. Azad, just really to kick off, same question actually. Let us know a little bit more about BA Exchange's story. Could you, again, where are your customers based and what kind of corridors do you serve?
Thank you so much. As you, for the information of the audience, BA Exchange is a fully owned subsidiary of Bank Asia Limited, one of the top banks in Bangladesh. Our bank, mostly known to be the only and first Bangladeshi bank that acquired 2 foreign banks and pioneering agent banking in Bangladesh. And over here, BA Exchange is the first overseas subsidiary of Bank Asia, followed by our similar operation in the US and 8 European countries. And when we entered the UK market, if I tell a bit of the story, why actually Bank Asia, decided to come, from banking service to, all of a sudden in the UK to provide money transfer, service is actually when we entered here about 10 years ago, a big money transfer company all of a sudden disappeared, and thousands of customers actually lost their money. So at that time, the central bank, the Bangladesh Bank, advised a couple of banks in Bangladesh to come over here and ensure, ensure that the people in the UK, Bangladeshi expatriates can transfer money legally, it goes
and safely, yeah, and secure and
yeah.
safely, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, if I tell briefly, that is the reason. So this is how we started, and it has been now a decade. Such a great feeling, indeed.
Fantastic. Did you mention it's been a decade?
Sorry to interrupt. And I was using a slogan at the time when on the website of BA Exchange. So BA Exchange is now, Bank Asia is now both at home and abroad with customers. So the people who are already having their accounts with Bank Asia but living in the UK, we are here to give them support, as well as also the people who are here but want to send money, those having account, bank account with Bank Asia. So it is a kind of, having arbitrage benefit for both the parent company and the subsidiary.
Absolutely, and I think you're doing a great service. As you mentioned, it's a way of they can have peace of mind as well when they are sort of sending money back home to family and friends. And you mentioned you just crossed a decade now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Fantastic. I'd like to congratulations on passing that milestone. And again, we've witnessed your rapid expansion and growth since then. And again, as a client for almost a decade, we have witnessed you provide Bangladeshi community with a great accessibility through technology and innovation, particularly. How have you delivered this?
If I tell a bit, why, for example, when we started from the scratch, at that time, I was introduced to RemitONE actually by one of my colleagues with whom I used to work in my previous bank. And after I was shown how the RemitONE platform is, so I actually told the management of Bank Asia that I need this software to run the operation, and it was a kind of condition over there. To be honest, if I tell the truth. So and I 10 years ago, if I just give few little things, these things are not actually a great matter nowadays. But if you think the time when we started, this wire really matters. For example, if a customer comes to our branch at 6 o'clock in the UK time, 6 p.m. At that time, it is 12 o'clock midnight in Bangladesh. And from my previous experience, what I have seen that the remitter, he is conveying his the PIN number to the beneficiary by waking him or her at the middle of the night, and he is actually taking a note and making mistake because he woke up in the middle of the night. Or remitter is conveying the same PIN number message the following day when the banks are getting shut. So, but from the day one, from the transaction number one, with the support of RemitONE, we were able to generate a text message for both the senders and the receivers. So this is how we removed a serious pain point, by giving, comfort and convenience to our customers. And for example, if it's a small organization where the chief executive officers or the manager operations are involved as the MLRO as well, I needed a software where through which I can communicate with the staff. It is not just an operator is serving a customer, whereas on that very customer, MLRO has some observations, and until that transaction is coming to MLRO, there is no communication between the operator and the MLRO. But with the RemitONE system, there is option to put note for the operators to do exactly that MLRO wants to do. For example, if he needs any additional paper, any extra questions that they need to ask to customers, that will eventually, help the businesses to remain compliant. At the same time, not to create any discomfort to customers by asking the questions after 2 days. Whereas we were able to, do it at this time of serving the customer. So these are very little things, that we were able to do with through the RemitONE system. And also, we were at that time looking what is the trend of the money transfer businesses. So initially, of course, we started with a branch, and 100% of our customers was face to face. But we had the plan, and I knew that by talking before even I made the agreement with RemitONE 10 years ago, it had all the features and the ability to take it to where we want it to be. So these are the actually reasons, and and helped us to change our way of serving customers, to develop our service processes through RemitONE from time to time.
Yes, brilliant, Azad. Thank you so much, and thank you for your kind words. And it is, I mean, we are in a technological age now, technological environment, so it is always good to have that ability to reach out to your clients in a fast and again effective manner, as you just mentioned, getting rid of some of those those pain points for you, and we're really glad to see that you have been doing that and serving the your clients very well. Specifically, over the last sort of 8 months, how's the pandemic affected Bank Asia, and how are you overcoming these challenges?
To be honest, if I tell, since March, when the pandemic started, and of course, to comply with the government's instruction, I had to ensure that the staff, they are not in trouble. They are, as it is not an essential service, of course, I ensured that my colleagues are safe, they don't need to commute or anything. But, it is what we were trying to achieve actually for last several years. Through, we were trying to, motivate our customers by even offering better rate online for last couple of years, so that, we can actually eventually move to online space totally. We were running both the sort of, ways to serve customers over the phone and face-to-face and online. And we were even giving better rate, much better rate online, just to, divert them from coming physically to online. What pandemic has done is actually, it helped us to achieve that we wanted to achieve anyway. So it was a choice at that time to them, but since the lockdown began, it has been almost, a kind of there is no choice. They had to do it. So it, when most of the money transfer companies in the area, especially where we are located, personally, as I was running the entire operation, sitting at, in my desk where I am now at home, thousands of, customers I have served. And at that time, I was not taking it as just business. It was a kind of, when I have seen people are even more, motivated to help their families and friends and neighbors in Bangladesh. So to see that actually I even was, I felt no, this is the time actually I have to give more support, and I'm very happy. I feel really privileged that, we were able with our online remittance solution, we were able to stand with our customers at the time they really needed it the most. And so the online has given us the, given us the ability and the scope to run our operation without any interruption since the pandemic. Even as other money services were closed at that time, we have seen a huge influx of new customers got registered through us, through RemitONE, and many NHS staff and the doctors, they got registered at that time. So see, for with all my respect to customer of all types, for our sustainability, we need, of course, customers who has good income. For example, the kind of the diaspora that we serve, it was very hard for me to actually make them believe that they can do this transaction online without coming physically, because of the culture and other stuff. We believe in something that we can see or touch. But for sustainability, we needed a certain group of customers who are actually willing, who are comfortable in doing transactions online, and they don't have the time, or they don't have the willingness to go to any shop. So, and this is what exactly pandemic has kind of supported us in this way. I mean, it's a bit of a weird thing to say that way, but this is how we have achieved this growth that since pandemic.
No, thank you very much for your open honesty, and again, as you mentioned, what might seem sometimes as a negative can be opportunity. Right? It depends how you again look at it and manage that particular situation. And again, thank you so much for that particular information. It's very useful and good to hear how others are handling it in different ways, and your approaches. Azad, you're a technologist at heart, How have you taken BA Exchange in the direction of blockchain solutions such as Ripple, Net, and other disruptive solutions like Vine? I mean, how do you see these entities disrupting in our industry?
What I would say, for BA Exchange, we did not take the blockchain solution. I have led a project for my parent bank, for Bank Asia, to have the blockchain solution from RemitONE. As I mentioned, I work for Bank Asia and manage their subsidiaries. I was always looking at how we can increase our overall inward remittance to Bangladesh. As I mentioned at the beginning, Bank Asia is the pioneer in introducing agent banking in Bangladesh, and we have got more than 6,000 agent locations, apart from our almost 150 branches. So with the 6,000 plus outlets all over the country, it has given us the ability to reach almost every corner. But again, we have the infrastructure. Now we needed something else to, to present ourselves to the international environment, to the big banks around the world. The UAE, particularly the Middle East, where from the majority of the foreign remittance comes to Bangladesh. So at that time, I was looking at the what is happening, and I have seen the Santander to make an agreement with RemitONE to take their blockchain solution. So, and then I was very keen to how we can do that. So after almost 1.5 years, we have been able to successfully launch that service. Money just instantly as we talk over on WhatsApp or Viber. So the main push behind this was actually, I have seen from my experience in this sector for almost 1.5 decades now, how even my father, he I have grown up, in fact, from the remittance that I used to receive from my father, who used to work in the Middle East. So we used to receive a draft that we used to then deposit, in a bank, and 15 days for collection, and then another 2-3 days for this and that. Even the post used to reach our, home in village, in rural area for after almost a month. So it is almost a month that used to take for a remittance to receive at our end. Then with the support of the technology, we have seen how the how the many sectors have been disrupted, like how Uber has done, what Airbnb has done, how Amazon has done everything and disrupted many sectors. So this is what exactly we thought, how we can, at the time when we talk live and see each other, why should money transfer take even minutes? So, and without a single point of failure, and the with the security inbuilt, and no there is no failure, I mean, in terms of the account number is wrong, this and that, because everything is getting validated before the transaction is happening. So with this technology, we were able to reach a couple of few banks in the UAE. And just in March, when the pandemic began, we started receiving money from REC Bank in Dubai. So this is what actually helped Bank Asia, from my parent bank, to be the first Bangladeshi bank to join RemitONE and attract the international banks to send remittance through our bank. Now, if I say about the buying for BA Exchange, that is something that is really very interesting. I have seen how remittance is always a very is a tiny commission-based business, and because of the the fierce competition, there is zero exchange gain. So So how can we then, serve customers, remain competitive, and also sustaining this business? So at that time I was looking at the pain points, and one of the pain points, one of the things that I identified is the merchant acquirer. See, first of all, for money service business, it is even difficult to manage a merchant service acquirer. Secondly, even if it is managed, it is costly. It is 0.42%, 0.48%, and then a few compliance things added. So it is almost 0.5% of the commission that we receive from customers, which is totally unacceptable. So, with the open banking in place now since October, I guess, last year. So I have been able to reach BINE, where they will actually remove the need of the merchant acquirer and customer. Now from RemitONE, when they click, for example, if they are paying to us by WorldPay, they are taken to WorldPay's payment gateway, and they put their account details, etc., etc. And money comes after 2-3 days, whereas I need to deliver it instantly for instant cash transactions. So we used to receive money after 3 days. It is totally worthless. And then what BINE does at the time of checkout, they will be taken to their own bank account from where they will make the transfer. So we'll see at a glance which transfer we have received against what, and without the need of any merchant acquirer. It is extremely cost efficient. It would save more than two-thirds of your acquiring cost, and mainly and mostly you are going to get the money instantly. So these are the reason actually I have thought of BINE, and I'm sure it is going to be really helpful for businesses like us to a great extent.
Yeah, Azad, I mean, thank you so much. It's a very interesting story, and very interesting to see sort of which directions you're taking the business in. And again, it's always good to evolve as with the times and seek new technology to make those processes as seamless, as quick, and as far-reaching as possible. So great. Thank you, and again, thank you so much for the insight and your time today. Thank you, Azad.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Next, we're delighted and would like to give a warm welcome to Andrene Roper, Business Development Manager at JMMB Money Transfer. Thank you for your time today. How are you, Andrene?
Hi, good day, everyone. I'm well. How is everyone?
Good, and you're joining us from sunny Jamaica, am I correct?
Right, it's actually 10:40 in the morning here.
Oh, wow, good morning then.
Yes, hi.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your time. Andrene, again, first similar question to yourself. Can you explain a little bit about JMMB's story, where your customers are based, and what corridors do you serve?
Okay, sure. Well, JMMB Money Transfer Limited is actually a subsidiary of the JMMB Group, which was acquired in 2012 under the name Reggae Money Express. And that company at the time was incorporated in commenced operations in 1998. However, we were rebranded to JMMB Money Transfer in 2015. And this rebranding had allowed us to better leverage the brand equity of the JMMB Group, which is a financial conglomerate operating in Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, and the Dominican Republic. Now, our client base actually spans over 150 countries. However, our primary send countries are actually the US, Canada, UK, and selected Caribbean countries, including the Turks and Caicos Islands, the Bahamas, St. Martin, and Curacao. And we facilitate these send transactions through our 9 international partners within our network. We also offer a local service, which is our intra-island service. So that allows Jamaicans to actually send and receive transactions right across the island through our over 100 agent locations.
Fantastic, thank you so much for that, Andrene. So you've got quite a wide network there, and again, I can vouch for you. The send countries are, again, the US. I mean, UK. I know in the UK we have a long history with Jamaica itself. We have lots of large citizens here of Jamaican descent. So
Right.
I quite understand. Yes, of course, absolutely, big, huge communities. I can understand how, again, when it's third, fourth generation, something. So I can understand how a lot of the flow is from from those countries. JMMB have been a client for RemitONE for over 5 years. And we're delighted to witness your rapid expansion during that time. Can you disclose what is and has been the main provider of growth for your company?
Well, I'll be delighted to answer. For us, our main driver behind our success is actually our client-centric approach to serving our clients as well as our international partners. We actually strive to remain in the world of, satisfying our clients' needs, which we realize has resulted in our brand being synonymous with high levels of client satisfaction. However, we have to admit that we have had instances where we were not able to deliver our usual high standards and efficient service to our clients that, they have been accustomed to being synonymous with the JMMB group's brand name. Now, in addition to our client-centric approach, we actually have our efficient remittance platform offered by RemitONE, of course, which has allowed us to attract other players in the international markets, which has resulted significantly in our business growth. Now, we also aim to become synonymous with convenience, competitive rates, and even faster delivery of money to our clients. So this, backed with our exceptional client experience, has really fostered our growth. Now, using RemitONE's platform has also enabled us to better deliver on our promise to our clients, and which realize, increasing speed of delivery of the transactions, as well as to afford clients the opportunity to meet their financial needs. And we have also been able to bolster our partnerships with international partners seeking to explore opportunities in this market by using the reliable platform, of course, which will allow more Jamaicans in the diaspora who are interested in switching to online money transfer methods, which are faster and cheaper than the traditional offline brick and mortar. So our aim is to continue to explore technology and to be a digital provider. So we believe that is what has also helped to foster our growth.
Brilliant, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for that. So, am I correct, Andrene, in saying that again? Not only you are the powerhouses, you are the major players in Jamaica and in that area. So you're able to do local remittances. You do, and again, as you mentioned, but you also act like a hub. So you would other large players will connect to you strictly for payout purposes over your wide network, spanning all over Jamaica. Am I correct in saying that?
Correct, you're correct. We are also looking at other opportunities to be a send location to the international market, but that's a part of our growth expansion. But for now, yes, we have fostered a good relationship with our international partners. So we have been able to be that hub to facilitate the payouts here, which we do at our agent locations as well as through our deposit to account service.
That's fantastic. And again, thank you so much for your kind words about RemitONE. And am I correct in saying, Andrene, that if anyone, again, RemitONE client is interested in expanding their network to Jamaica, that you'd be sort of interested in having that conversation, how you may service those licensed companies in the
Yes, we definitely do, because we have engaged with RemitONE to actually, explore the other opportunities that are out there. And we realize that this is a powerful platform that we have to utilize, because not only for our general money transfer purposes, but you had mentioned in your introduction regarding for mobile wallet. I don't think you mentioned this, but you can do bill payments. So there are just so much more other opportunities that RemitONE's platform can offer. And we believe that in utilizing this service, or growth expansion can definitely be facilitated.
Andrene, specifically over the last sort of 8 months, how has the pandemic affected JMMB, and how have you overcome those challenges?
Well, admittedly, we did experience some technological challenges, because during the first 3 months of the pandemic, actually, due to a system upgrade that was done, and we had also experienced governmental restrictions due to the pandemic. We had curfews in place, work from home mandates. So these restrictions that actually impact our service delivery to our clients, it impacts our operations. It had also impact our international partners. So some of our international partners had also faced challenges due to the pandemic. So in essence, that had also impacted us in our delivery. Now, JMMB Money Transfers is a largely technologically driven company, and we were able to pivot and make the necessary changes to address the issues that we had faced. And due to this, we realized that once we were able to address those issues, we were able to capitalize on our deposit to account service, as we had seen an increase in the demand for this service from both new and existing clients. So as what my previous panelists had mentioned, that you would have had the service where persons could have been using online, but they were more accustomed to brick and mortar. We realized that for us, or send partners that facilitated online transactions, the persons were gravitating to that more. And for us, persons were utilizing our deposit to account service more than cash at that time. So we saw an increase during that phase. We saw an increase of the deposit to account service.
And I think that kind of neatly rolls on to my next question. How do you see it going forward, Andrene? How do you see the remittance industry changing post-pandemic? How will you handle things going forward? And you did speak about a little bit about your ambitions, but is there anything specific that you have planned for the future as well?
Well, without disclosing specifics, I mean, for us, we actually anticipate considerable growth in the future for the cross-border remittance industry. Reason being, we have seen where persons have become more digitally driven. And as a result, we believe this is definitely the time for us to capitalize on that aspect, because persons realize that, carrying out transactions online can be facilitated, utilizing their deposit to account services can be facilitated, as well as we will definitely look at other digital services that we can offer. Now, for us, we definitely see ourselves being seamlessly operating or facilitating payments, and we will continue to scan the environment with a view to capitalize on any business opportunity as they become available. So overall, we are expecting growth within this industry, as well as an increase in the digital space within the industry.
Brilliant. So I personally think you're absolutely correct. Where cash has always been king, particularly in the remittance industry, and we have, and as I mentioned earlier, we have seen a slow transition to more digital. I think because of the pandemic, that has definitely sped things up a little bit. So again, it's forced people to rethink how they conduct their business and how they reach out to their clients. Andrene, thank you so much for your time today. It's been great having you. The information, it's a wealth of information that you gave us. That's been really interesting, and thanks a lot for joining us today. And again, guys, if anyone out there would like to are interested in speaking to JMMB about their payout services, again, across the island, Jamaica, please feel free to get in touch with either myself or Natalie Perkins, and we'll see what we can do in terms of facilitating an introduction. Thank you, Andrene.
Thank you so much.
So much for your time. moving on to, again, last but definitely not least, our final interviewer. We welcome Musab Abdi, founder of Nation Transfer. It's great to have you here with us today, Musab. How are you?
Good, Osama. Thank you very much. It's correct that I'm not the founder. I'm one of the directors.
It's your father? Then I take it. That's
yes.
Excellent. Thank you. I always sort of see you guys as one, to be quite fair.
That's great. That's great.
Thank you again. Thank you so much for your time today, Musab. And Musab is again a client of RemitONE, and again, I'll let him take you into a little bit of the story of it. But particularly, we've helped Musab with the licensing process, so right from the nucleus stage of his business. So Musab, straight into what is the Nation Transfer story, and what is your vision for the business?
First of all, I'd like to thank RemitONE for inviting us, and I'm glad to speak on behalf of Nation Transfer. Simply, the story behind Nation Transfer is that we saw a gap in the market of Eastern African money transfer services where a digital technology is missing. And having the background, as some of you may know, the chairman, Abdi, he's the co-founder, and he's my father. He worked in MSP services over 20 years, and he had quite depth experience in that field. But that's the old version of sending remittance and the old school way. And I myself worked in a money transfer service for over 5 years, but as a compliance officer. Me having the background of IT and more into the technology side and system development, I knew that the way forward is to move from the cash base to the technology where everyone's moving. Coming up from a background of East African communities and also particularly Somali communities, they more like cash base instead of the technologies. There's a handful of companies that actually provide online services. So when we merged, we merged the experience that my father had with the technology that is up and running now to move forward and create a platform that provide a simple, user-friendly, and also competitive rates and pricing with the Eastern Africa, not only with Somali region, but in East African, Middle East, and Europe. So the story is that we actually wanted to merge the old school way of sending money with the new generation of technology and putting it to a better outcome.
And am I correct in saying that as you find, again, let's just take the Somali community as an example, as you find the second and third generation, where the first generation, again, might be more used to using cash, they like to go into an agent maybe once a month, they meet their friends there maybe and have a coffee, have a chat, where you might find the second and third generation are more likely to use the app. Is that what you're finding?
Absolutely, yeah. We knew that this is not, that's probably one of the visions to ultimately move from the cash to the online. It won't be overnight. It will take quite a time because as you know, the older generation, they're the one that send money more than the younger generation, especially to the nation, and that's where the name comes from. So we wanted to make the technology and the apps familiar with all the agents that we have. And currently we actually established ourselves with making a partnership with few agents, and based on the experience that my father and myself and my colleagues had, we had a lot of interaction with a lot of agents and making them aware that the way forward is hopefully the online, and it won't be overnight, but that's the goal.
Brilliant. So as you mentioned, it's sort of a marriage of the two, a merger of the two, where you understand that obviously a lot of it is still done the old school way, but you'd like to introduce the technology part of it, where maybe they would walk into an agent, but then have assistance on logging onto that app, or finding a being uploaded or onboarding with the app, and then simply make payments from that going forward. Is that how you vision it?
We vision it. You can say so, but ultimately we want to make the user dependent, and we don't want the user to be. We want to make the user actually independent and not dependent on the agent. It will take a time, but we want to make the users comfortable from wherever they are to be able to send money from their phone. Perhaps yes, we will have a lot of support with the current agents that we have that can actually help users that find it more difficult to send using the technology and through the mobile. Yes.
What kind of trends have you seen with your current agents?
To be honest, that's a sensitive topic when you bring an online to an agent. You can imagine an agent who wants to get his commission, but once you bring the topic of online to him, then of course he lost his interest. So you have to create some sort of profit and interaction engagement with an agent, and say, okay, this is the profit that you will get once you make the users familiar with the app, and you will be ultimately having a promotion codes and referral codes. These kind of things will actually make the agent more interested. Yeah,
exactly. Provide incentive and drive for it. Absolutely, I absolutely understand. Musab, you quite recently obtained an MSB license through RemitONE.
Yeah.
Can you just really briefly tell us about the process and how it impacted your business?
It was really a good decision to go with RemitONE. RemitONE actually they took us through the whole length of the process from the beginning to, especially with the license. That was the most interesting part. We worked closely with Osama, yourself, and your colleague Ibrahim. He actually had the legal part where we had to go back and forth with the regulators, HMRC and FCA, when we obtaining the license. That took quite a while, especially with the pandemic. And we applied around maybe February. We faced a lot of challenges, but we overcome the challenges with particularly the fact that I had the experience and the compliance background. It helped a lot to smooth the process. And as you are aware, that nowadays the regulators, they're very precise about issuing a license and approving a company with MSP license. They were very precise with the requirement, and thank God we actually overcame that challenge. But RemitONE had a big major role with that, and I'm really like to thank the legal team, Ibrahim, and yourself, Osama, for that part.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for your kind words. And that's what we try to do. We try to help companies out as best we can from start, to help them get going and have a successful business in those areas. And so you say you filed in February, and when did you get the license in your hand?
We applied and put the application February, around end of June and early July. That's when we obtained the license, but that's due to the pandemic and also the delay from HMRC side. They actually had a lot of application and had a lot of work, and you can imagine the pandemic had a big effect on everyone, especially the regulators. Yeah,
absolutely. But again, 4 months isn't too bad, though. Having said, giving all the circumstances, absolutely. And again, it does sometimes depend on the case officer. You do get each one might be slightly different. They want to do a little bit more digging, but our job does not stop, and our job did not finish until you had that license in your hand. And again, I think 4 months from filing to when you actually were issued that, so it's fantastic, and we're very happy and pleased to be able to assist you in that manner.
Absolutely.
And Musab, finally, as a new entrant to the market, has the pandemic held you back at all? What have been the main challenges? How have you overcome them?
Yeah, the license was one of the main issue that we faced, but we overcome that issue, and we got the license. And when we did get the license, we had to put a pause to the original plan, which was connecting with payout partners and starting online straight away. A lot of changes happened to the market, and we had to put our business strategies together and maybe focus on the agent part and establishing ourselves and creating a market strategy that way at least we obtain sometimes and we buy sometimes to the, and then we can actually move into the original plan, which was online. But it did actually put us back the pandemic, but challenges are always there. I need to be grateful to my father, who had the courage to actually go ahead at this precise difficult time. We were all hesitating whether business will be up and running, but thank God it actually turned out that better than what we thought. Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. That's really, really interesting, and thank you so much for the insight. And again, it's really interesting, guys, to see how each company has a different way. It might be depending on that particular corridor, but again, they have a different way of tackling the particular issues that we're facing in the market at the moment. So thank you so much again, Musab, for your time. It's been very interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you. So just before we go on to the final piece, just going to sort of okay, turned in. We're sort of running out of time. I can see some questions have popped up. I think most of them we can do a priority to apply for license by yourself as a consultant who developed your platform for you after you got the license. So there's one question here: did you apply for the license by yourself, or you use consultant? And that's from Oladele. I can quite happily say that they used our consultant, again, our specialist consultant, who was Ibrahim. At the time, we have a few specialist consultants taken through the licensing process, right the way from writing AML policies, security policies. In terms of the system, again, RemitONE provide both. We provide the consultancy service and the system. They kind of go hand in hand. As you are applying for a license with the Financial Conduct Authority or with any other regulatory body in Europe, there is something called PSD2, Payment Service Directive 2, and as a part of that, you must provide the regulatory body with technical information, server infrastructure, disaster recovery, security information. Provide them as part of your license application to satisfy them, and for them, in order for them to then grant you a license. Anytime, how they're able to get a bank account open. Anytime, we have partners. Yeah, so we have partners who are able to open bank accounts. Them specifically, I would not disclose that. Obviously, that's sensitive information. But in general, either by going to directly yourselves to a challenger bank, like Metro Bank or Clear Bank, and online banks which provide own IBANs and things like that, then specifically provide MTO accounts, segregated accounts for clients, can go directly to them. Or we have a partner again that we may put you in touch with, who again offer that sub account, or that account, the online account particularly. So it's not for cash payments, unfortunately, but usually you can collect wire transfers and debit or credit card payments. Again, it's quite difficult at the moment to get bank accounts, and especially for cash collection due to de-risking and source of fund element to it. Okay. Okay, fantastic. I think that's all the questions. Are there any other questions at the time being? Guys, just write them on the side, and hopefully I'll help the FCA application. Can you share the name of the consultant to help with the FCA application? So Oladele, he works for RemitONE. The consultant actually works for RemitONE. If you'd like to have that service, the consultancy service, again, I would be happy to reach out to you, provide you with a proposal. Again, of that particular service, whether it be XPI, small payment institute license, or authorized payment institution license. Once you are happy with that, again, we have several consultants. Once we have an agreement in place, I'll be happy to connect you to them and for them to start the process for you, again, as we've done for nation transfer. Yes, our email address. So all of our details are at the end of this webinar, and you can either reach out to myself or Natalie Perkins, who I'm sure you have her email address, and Natalie can make sure everyone has that. And again, I'll be happy to pick this up offline and share any details, any proposals, breakdown of services, timing, and things like that to yourselves. So Natalie, just take a look, make sure Oladele gets our details from that side.
Okay, yeah, got that.
Guys, are there any other questions? Because I know we are moving on, and we are running over time slightly. Okay, brilliant. And again, guys, you can always, if anything comes to you afterwards, you can always drop us an email. It might not come to mind now, but again, afterwards, if something pops to mind and you want to have a conversation with us about anything that we've discussed today, whether that be RemitONE system or connection to one of our partners, please feel free to reach out. So I'd like to